try the audio. Let's see if it's working. Can you see anything? Is the audio working? Test. Okay. Is there echo? Okay, great.
You can hear.
Test. Yeah, seems good. Is it better this one or the one?
This one.
Okay. I hope so. And mouse.
Nice.
Next project is yours.
I had to.
Yes, should we close the door? Check. You have to show the beat.
The last people is ready. Let's do this later.
Later. We are live in theory. Yeah, we are live already. Let's see on YouTube. Okay, maybe I can start with the intro. So? Hello guys! Maybe we can start. I think rain and virus, some of the people might not make it in time. Maybe few people will come in. Nobody of us has been traveling so far, so we are already checked. Thanks for coming. Pleasure to see you here, guys. And maybe I can introduce a little bit about what we are doing. So we are a non-profit organization, non-profit in the real sense, like we don't make profits, we don't even generate revenues at the moment. We have been investing our own resources for the past 2 years and a half into a few projects, and we are doing this because we believe that we can shape a better society with innovations, with startups, and with entrepreneurs that are value-driven and less profit-driven. I personally come from finance, and actually my name is Gian Andrea, so nice to meet you guys. I've been in the financial industry for about 10 years, running my own company at that time, and I realized that in a way profit-driven innovation was not leading entrepreneurs into the best direction. And we are seeing the world today that has many problems when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to exploiting people, exploiting jobs, exploiting weaknesses. Even in the medical field, we are seeing healthcare systems struggling now because a lot of innovation was profit-driven and not necessary value-driven. And so yeah, FVTURA is somehow an ecosystem for people to come together for collaborating to create projects. And Next Billion Jobs is actually our first project going live from what we call an incubator. So in this ecosystem, we also have an incubator where we develop projects with groups and team members. And yeah, Next Billion Jobs is our first live project and prototype. And the idea behind this platform is to create and change the digital economy and the way empowerment is structured. And one of the common points that you will hear in general from us is so what we do, we are doing it in the process of creating distributed Facebook. Facebook has about 2 billion users. In this case, if we run it, 2 billion users would be 2 billion shareholders. So instead of retaining the team members and few investors, we are doing the other way around. 99% of the shares its users. We want to create projects that are owned by the community. And if we can do that, we can change the way that the wealth distribution is allocated today. So instead of having corporations owning a lot of power, control, and wealth, that wealth will be distributed among the contributors, the users, and the employees, and anyone that actually has built that platform or company. So this little bit of summary of yeah, I guess should we start if everything works properly. Works. So yeah, this is a little bit about the point that I was mentioning before. So creating a platform to fit the future of the job market. Who of you is familiar with any platform like Freelancer, Upwork, TopTal? I think most of you. Cool. Now, imagine imagine working with Upwork or Freelancer, but every time that you complete a job in there, you get shares of that platform. So you're actually not just doing transactions in that platform, you're building assets. Long term, the entire platform will be owned by the freelancers and the people working for that platform. And why we want to do this is because we want to change the way corporations are structured today in a way that we think it might be more fair, especially when it comes to long-term value. Because what many young people don't realize is that despite earning cash, they're not putting aside long-term value or assets, and they are not getting a fair share for the value that they are creating for those corporations. All of us, we use Netflix, Google, Facebook. We are a client, but we don't own a part of it. And if we want to own, we need to invest in shares. We can only do that if the company is listed, and you know, it's not that cheap, not that easy. thing is creating a place to build a proper online track record. There are platforms like LinkedIn, for example, but what we have seen is that the type of track record over there is a little bit superficial, in the sense that it's really hard to know who is really like proper, or which one is a real profile, if those skills are verified, if the schools and companies are verified. Myself, I use LinkedIn quite a lot, and it happens to me often to be contacted by people which are not real, or not real profile, or not legit. So we will implement more and more technologies to cross-verify that the skills, the schools, the things that people put are actually true, and then giving them a verification ranking. I heard before something about blockchain on this side. I don't know which conversation. We will also utilize those type of technologies to have people decentralized verifying other people. So it's not us, but it's the community verifying members. And again, all with the purpose of creating something, as you can see, more purposeful. And this is for us a test, in the sense that it's a pilot project. So if you have any feedback, everything we are doing again is for the world, for the community. So if you see anything that we can change, that we can improve, we can all share it. And since we are in beta, we are still in time to change things fast. Okay, no transaction costs. This is something that we are going to mention soon. Value over profits. And this part is really important for at least the intentions of the team and the people behind, because it means that we're going to always prioritize the community and the value that we are creating, even if freelancer and clients are using this for their own business, so they are making their own profits, but it's not our interest or our goal to make profit. So whatever functionalities or features that we are going to add is for the good of the community. Yes. Including not selling customers. The virus and the remote jobs. We added this slide just in time. Well, we're seeing that economies are a little bit changing because of this virus, especially those countries that have been hit more. And something that is happening is that companies are forced to try remote jobs. More people, more companies are hiring freelancers as well because of the current situation. And many people that they've never tried remote jobs, now they're actually going through it. And many people are saying actually it's not that bad, because they're saving time. They save time in commuting. It's less destructive to be in a noisy environment. Well, reducing pollution is, if you live in big cities, peak hour, you can feel it a lot. I used to live in Shanghai, and I remember peak hour was pretty intense. But even Bangkok nearby. Singapore is actually pretty good for that. And that also leads us to another series of problems that are coming up from the current job market, including unfairness. And unfairness is a broad term, but if you have been working for companies, you might realize that many times what you had was not really fair for you. Policies, your rights, and again, it's purely transactional. So in the long term, you don't earn. If you're earning, let's say, $10,000 because you are creating for the company, maybe $30,000, $50,000, but you don't get a stake of the value that you create. So that can be done better. There are many people in terrible countries that they have terrible jobs with terrible conditions. and we can improve that as well through the online economies. Meaninglessness. Many jobs are not that meaningful as well, and they can be replaced with jobs that are more useful, more purposeful, and it's a big change. I mean, there's a lot of work that has to be done. We're seeing that thanks to automation, many jobs are now going to be replaced. Thanks might not be the best word, but due to automation, things are going to change. So we can finally find, in a way, more purposeful jobs. Instead of having people churning numbers on Excel all day long, that could be done from a PC, from a computer. Those people are free to do something more purposeful. And yeah, on the other side, with Next Billion Jobs, we want to create, we want to bring more fairness and empower people, empower them with tools, with platforms to improve their skills as well, and to find better jobs. I don't know, Rachel, if you want to mention maybe a little bit about the education side. Do you feel it? I don't think we have the education. If you want to mention it. Huh? Yeah, we don't have it, right? Maybe quickly mention it.
So this job platform is actually a part of the education and jobs project. So on the other side, on the other half of the project is an education platform that we're building, which will have micro-education courses developed by experts that we are in touch with. And this micro-education courses, it will be paired with the jobs on the platform. So once you finish the education side, once you finish your course and you figure out how to do something, you can go and find a job that is listed on the platform, on the jobs platform, and to sharpen your skills and to earn a little bit as well. And from that, you can afford to have better classes, better courses, and then you can afford more job as well. So that's the idea of how education and jobs can come together and support each other.
Wow, that was super brief. No, that's very nice. Summarized. I don't want to rush too much, so guys, if you have any question, please.
Andrea,
Yes.
this proposition that you present here, the existing and the new that you want to build, what's the research? How do you come up with this problem? How big they are? How do you quantify the pain point to really propose this solution?
Yeah, we did. Actually, the way we came up with these projects, it took us about 7 sessions with an average of 15 industry experts. And you can see all these, actually part of these sessions on the website FVTURA, thinktank.futura.com. We saw that there are quite a few problems in the current jobs market and as well in the education market. So Next Billion Jobs is half of a larger system which is going to be also education, a place where people can learn and find a job straight away, and then learn more, and then find better jobs. So creating what we call modular education, teaching skills like micro-entrepreneurship, for example, or things that people can learn and straight away apply. In terms of quantifying the size, we know that there are about 800 million people that are still living and working under the threshold of poverty. Therefore, that means below than $1 per day, US dollar per day, $1. And the question that we ask ourselves is, can we help? Can we find something for those people? So, and the main issue there is that you need to start from the education first, because you have to bring skills first in places where maybe you can barely access to internet or have access to internet. So we need to bring a little bit of things there. And once we can bring education, then we can also bring jobs. If we can bring jobs and opportunities to people, this is actually a large impact. Now let's think about countries like Indonesia or soon Kif, like Indonesia or India, where you have millions of people moving into cities, to find jobs and opportunities. And they're moving so fast that the same cities are not able to build infrastructures fast enough to host those people. All of these issues is because opportunities today are not going to people. So people have to go to opportunities.
That's perfect. I understand what you're saying, but this is what is saying those stories. You mentioned meaningless.
Yes.
What do you mean? Like, I am a business owner. I need someone to design my website, make an app. I go to Upwork. I go to any of those websites where freelancers work in a gig. I feel like they were reasonable when they ask for. So what do you mean? I also have very good interaction with my designers, or programmers, or whatever. So what part are you referring to? From the existing today, or
No, from offline, in a way, offline jobs or situations where people cannot even change their job and they're stuck, let's say, for 5 years or 10 years in a position that is not very meaningful for them. So during this period, some of our members have transitioned from having full-time jobs for companies to actually being able to work on smaller projects, but constantly. And they found that is much more meaningful for them because, first of all, they can decide the place where they want to live, the projects that they want to take on, and they're also learning. Because when you're stuck in a job for 5 or 10 years, your learning curve is a bit like this. It becomes flat after a while. So a lot of meaning that we can add. Please.
I think what you're getting on to the really interesting point is, so you work for the customers. So like freelancers, this is great, right? But like there's a serious supply and demand shortage. And so like what you're getting on from the customer side is like, Upwork's fine. You're not hurting when you use Upwork, right?
I'm happy with that work. Most of my gigs, they say, who can do this app for me?
Yeah.
I have a bunch of people replying and say, look, I can do it for that much. I check this portfolio. They're excited about the project, and we work together. And it seems to me it's fair. I pay, they're happy, and we work. So, because you call your presentation the gig economy, I thought it was towards that part, but now you're explaining this meaninglessness happening with people working offline doing the same thing, which I think you should have started to describe your ideal persona in your solution, and maybe that would clarify my mind and didn't bring this kind of issue. I didn't never have this meaning.
Absolutely, no, it's more on the supplier, I would say, like MCC users. One of the possible clients in this case, for example, it could be startups, but we can talk about clients as well later on. To answer to your question, what does it change on the client side? There are a couple of things that change. One is vetted profiles. The problem I had on Upwork or freelancer.com, I've been an entrepreneur for about 15 years now, so I've tried to use any type of platform that I could find. And we had offices at some point in 4 countries, so we were like pretty distributed. We didn't have the barriers of not being able to find people online. The problem that we had is that 70% of the time we were asking for something, we were not getting it the way we wanted. And this is because the way those algorithms works, they put people based on rating. So if you have a higher rating, you are going to be, as a supplier, shown before others. And this is not as good, for example, for newcomers. And the other thing is that many times these ratings are not real. So these profiles, they ask people to friends or they create fake profiles.
You mentioned vetting. Who's doing the vetting here?
We are doing the vetting now, but at some point we are going to create similarly to TopTal. TopTal has a network of professionals vetting other professionals. So we believe that there is a necessity a little bit to create a verification process because on the client side, we had actually quite some problems for that.
Yeah, when you say vetting, what do you mean? Are we talking expertise? Are we talking like a thousand freelancer transit to 10 going his way? Are we talking background checks? What sort of vetting?
We can do three types of vetting. One is automated one, so we check the basics. You can check, let's say, if information. Then you can have peer type of verification. Is more or less what you have on the rating system, and then you add the professionals type of verification. So you have calls like one-to-one call to see if the person is real, if the person is legit, if they are able to eventually deliver what they're supposed to. We are going to try and different things.
Who's paying for that vetting?
Who is
Paying for the vetting?
we will pay for the vetting.
So you're not taking any fees?
We're not taking. So we're not taking any transaction fee, and this is another the second change for the client. So we're not taking transaction fees, but so let's say a freelancer accumulates $1,000 of works. When we want to exit, there is a one-time exit fee of 20%. And for that 20%, they're going to get the same worth in shares of the platform. So let's say it's $200, they're going to get $200 shares of the platform. And that $200 is going to pay for the costs of the platform. Again, is a non-profit type of company, so we cannot make profits at the end of the year. We cannot distribute dividends, but we can pay for costs and infrastructure.
You check Fiverr.
Of course. I checked, used.
What's different with the Fiverr like service providers?
Fiverr, again, one of the challenges is verification. So they have a pro version. I don't know if you have checked Fiverr Pro, but that's much more expensive. So there is a huge gap now between in that sense. So that's one issue. The other issue is that is transactional in the sense that every time you do a transaction, you have a cost in there. And this leads us to a second part for the client. So what we see today is that somehow if you're a startup and you need a specific thing done, you need to pay cash upfront. And many entrepreneurs, they don't have access to that liquidity to begin with. So in this platform, every entrepreneur can also be a supplier. And by not having transaction fees, transaction costs, let's say you earn 1,000, then you can spend 1,000 and it circulates and create a kind of circular economy. Well, the platform itself, it is. It's the team behind that is not taking it.
Right, but you're not taking any fee for transactions, you're only taking 5%.
Exit fee.
That is already from the you're giving me. So basically, I'm going to get from others cut.
You're going to add?
I'm going to get a bit of the others cut, that 20% from someone else later on.
For example?
As part of my shares. Only if you keep giving shares out forever, you just keep inflating my shares.
No, you can't do it forever because at some point you reach the limit of shares. But at that point, for example, if you want to trade it into a public market or into a private market, shares can have its own value. Or if the platform is going for a series of investment rounds or other things, you can get a cut from it as well. Again, I mean, all of this is experimental. So there are not many companies that we can study out there that they are taking all the shares and giving it to the users.
Seems that you have a lot of inspiration from how blockchain works and the blocking and the ownership and trying to create some sort of
Yeah, at some point.
You're taking from me 200. I mean, no, 20%. You say 20%. So what is more like 20% of the fees, or maybe exiting the network, or what is more your network at that moment?
Well, consider that if you were using, if a freelancer was using Fiverr or Upwork, I think each transaction cost is actually much higher than that.
Well,
Isn't it
you're
already?
saying they would use Upwork and Fiverr and not just meet you when they go off platform. So like if the projects, usually you're going to work with a freelancer for like time and then you're just going to get pitched. So you're gonna, like, I don't know, $100 project, but then you're going to say, oh, okay, 20% is too much. I want $2,000 to start.
That's possible. I mean, we can't even avoid it, even if we had 2% transaction fee. Also, because of payment gateways, people might want to agree on different payment systems, things that we might not be able to have on the platform. It's a long-term bet, but again, in any other freelance platform today, you have each transaction, I think, between 20 to 30% fees. In this way, any transaction doesn't have fee, only one exit fee, and you get for that amount shares. It's like a bonus in a way.
Are you going to protect these things? Like, are you going to protect them from like classification and GDPR? Like, what is he going to get as well?
For the,
As a freelancer, I would say,
why a freelancer or why?
like, do you recognize the classification and GDPR?
All the data protection thing.
Similar. So basically, like, if I'm working with him and he says you have to come to this firm meeting on Friday, and he tells 100 other freelancers that we can join together and sue him for like $100 million for this classification. If we're suing the US, right? It's just we're suing the US and other countries that are very similar to us. And so as a freelancer, there's other similar things like to protect me. Are you going to protect me from this? Like why I work? Why it's worth it to make the 20%?
Well, I think any type of protection that they offer, we should find it as well. One of the things that we were discussing with local groups is also insurance, because we have seen that freelancers are not covered as normal employees when it comes to insurances, and it is a big deal. In countries where we have public health, it's fine, but in countries, for example, like Singapore, if you're not covered by insurances, it might change your life. So every type of protection we budget it and deliver it. Again, that's the beauty. When you're focused on creating value, you have a wide canvas. Everything you say is, okay, how can we help people? It switch your mindset and saying, how can we exploit people?
There's a problem with that, because you need to take into account people that are buying your platform are going to join it for incentive.
Yeah.
You need to align those incentives properly, or your platform is going to close.
Yeah, exactly. So for them, they might care less about value. For them, they might care about short-term profits. But on the other side, we want to create an environment that is going into the right direction.
Especially because you are assuming that you're betting in the long term, when usually the people in the third world, people in India, in Russia, and everywhere doing work for me, it's about liquidity, it's about money. Okay, you promise to do this work, 1 week is the money. You have promised it here, you get ownership, maybe one day it will be from whatever, and you will have a piece of the action. When is this going to happen? Not many people in India or Indonesia will be so excited about it, because you need to eat. It's like different needs.
Yeah, and that's why the 80%. What I believe is that, as you mentioned earlier, blockchain, we are going to see slowly a change when it comes to ownership, and younger people will demand more control, more policies, and more ownership in what they are working on. For a project a while ago, we heard many, for example, Uber drivers when Uber was still in town, and the biggest complaint that they had was that every time they were paying fees and so on, they were left with short-term cash, and that cash was not even that much to cover basically costs, and they were the one doing most of the job for the platform, and the platform becoming richer and richer and not having anything of it.
You said your shares are going to be so the freelancers companies that join first get all the shares. some shareholders now making money. These people who first got into your platform are going to be the rich ones now.
So let's say, and this is all about the economics behind. Let's say you release 10 billion shares. So you can actually release at first a very large amount. And then, when things are going to finish, what you can do is either allow it to trade smaller amount of smaller quantums. For example, in Bitcoin, you have the Bitcoin and now you have the Satoshi, which is a tinier part of a Bitcoin, which is now still decently valuable. So you can, once you finish, the value of the single share is going to increase. Yeah.
And the thing there is you're just giving less to whoever joins in last, which means the people who joined in first are so rich. A bit like the same in Bitcoin that you got, where the people who joined in first are now millionaires, billionaires, and whatever, right? So my point here is the people who join first in your platform will get most of the profits, and then at the end you'll be left with a framework that's kind of similar to what you currently have, taking 20% from the freelancers. So as a freelancer, honestly, like, what would be the value for me if I'm doing it like this?
So if you give, this is a very, very interesting and critical point. The problem with the point is that they were giving units. So they were not giving, let's say, $200 worth of Bitcoin. They were giving 200 Bitcoins. And this is a little bit different. So if you're giving $200 worth of the shares of the company, I think the critical point here is going to be when are you going to get those shares? What is the, do you put any parameter in place? Let's say this is the maximum that you can resell it, or that the network can buy it from you. I see the same problem. One of the reasons, I was interested in blockchain, but not in crypto. Because in crypto, I see the same problem as in the current society, where most of the assets are stuck in a few people's wallet. It's actually a very small number of people holding the majority of the value and the asset. I think at any cost we should avoid this situation. One of the ways that you can do that is not giving out units, but the worth in dollars, which is a little bit different. You have more room for making it not like Bitcoin. It's all about economics behind. I think we need to have a very transparent and interesting mechanism for doing that in a fair way, so that is not as steep as Bitcoin. Maybe it's going to be a little bit like this. Yeah, who joined later is going to earn a little bit less, but there's also less risks. Let's say if the company is already large, you have thousands of users, thousands of transactions, your shares might be worth a little bit less. You have more safety that sooner you might get out of it if you want to cash out shares. So you can build all these risk multiplier. We're already utilizing something for ourselves. But about this, what we could do is creating a framework and then release it publicly, and then we can also check on that. We have to do it anyway. So, but interesting. Another part for the on the client side. So why clients should be more interested is because with this something really important is about economies. With this platform, by having zero transaction cost, it means that let's say you are a client, but you are also a supplier. Every time you earn something, you can use it to pay something else. You create a kind of circular economy inside. Now, this is a big issue, especially in the current economic situation, where there is not much liquidity. Now, let's think about countries like Europe. In Europe, there is not much liquidity, especially among the younger generation. We want to create a platform where people can transact over and over to facilitate the exchange of skills, time, and resources. If we add transaction costs, by the time you do 5 transactions, all the money is going in taxes, payment gateways, and platform fees. All these things are not easy to explain in a few minutes because there is quite a bit of complex economics, so I'm sure you might know quite a bit of things, but still a pretty complex thing to try to explain in a few minutes. But yeah, the impact is in the economy's liquidity. So you can.
Will you create your own token for this network for the people to trade, or do you only?
No, it's credits. It's like grab points. But it's not blockchainized. It's not blockchainized because we've seen that the gas costs and the fees were actually a little bit impactful in the long term. And the other thing is the stability. If for example you're using Ethereum, if you're using other blockchain, which we might find soon, we would be happy to try out. And the other problem is the economic stability. If you're using points, $1 is 1 point. When you want to convert it, you get $1. If you are using a token that is listed, the value is fluctuating. And this is a big problem, for example, in emerging economies, where you said there might be people needing $800 now. What if the market crash? So that person has been working, he has accumulated $5,000, boom, now he's at $3,000 or $2,000. The tokens, the points. So the risk will be the platform, if the platform defaults, for example. But that's why I think payments should be done regularly, because it's not only the company, it's the bank itself. I think if the company is using a bank and the bank defaults, yeah.
But then so could your company, no offense, right? But so could your company. So what I'm arguing is keeping it as points on the blockchain is not going to be what's actually makes it go up or down. It's who's guaranteeing that value.
And that's one of the points back to control and ownership. If the shares are owned by the community, the company has, first of all, is transparent. So all the accounting, everything is going to be public for the network. And everything is being controlled and owned by the community. The community will have no interest in cheating themselves. And that's a big burden that we don't have. So we are testing a system of voting. We are testing a few systems of voting, actually. And I can't say that no way is the perfect way yet. But yeah, we're testing a distributed voting system. And this is something really important that goes beyond also the simple wealth part. Is about ownership and control. For example, in the case of Facebook, you have a large platform that can influence billions of people, but they're not necessarily making the interest of the community, they're making the interest of the investors. Sorry.
Yeah, but the case of Facebook is totally different. Most people use it, they think they have some value, but in this case you're talking and changing the ways. I'm going to create this network of value. You do work for me, you own the company, you use this token to do some exchange of work. The difficulty you will find is how to communicate this to normal people. I am also a brand owner and a marketer, so I know about this. And this has been the big pain point in all this complex technology, which are really beautiful. But if it's not beautiful, why everyone else is not using it?
Adoption.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not only adoption, but you and me, we can be technocrats. We can understand the technology. We probably your father is around 60, 70 years old. He's Andrea, who's working in his startup. Okay, take the pictures, share. He doesn't care about what happened with his data, the trail, where he was. But Facebook is making money out of that, right? Whereas, let's say, in this new value add or exchange value network, he would really need to understand, grasp something about what's privacy, what's data, what he can do.
What is long-term value? What is assets? How do I get shares? How? Because then,
See, it's a lot,
yeah.
a lot of business process. And the normal people, the land, Mr. Landa, just, that's why Netflix is so big, that's why Facebook is so big, because most people don't want complexity or understanding. It's one business.
I totally agree, and I see layers of complexity because when it comes to shares, then you start to own the shares. Where are these shares? Do I have a wallet? Do I own it? Do I have to pay taxes on it? What are the reports? Then voting. How does it work? How do I log in? You have layers of complexity, but it's the same in blockchain.
That's exactly why that was taken off. I mean, it's been more than a decade that you're saying cryptocurrency might take over the world, and we're still.
Yeah, we are still. I know. I don't think it's going to be something from like overnight that is going to happen. But you're creating a system, you are deploying it, and if people want to use it normally as Upwork or freelancer, this should be actually pretty fast and intuitive. And it should be as intuitive or as fast, so that people might not realize it, but they are accumulating value that one day might actually be worth.
Based off your data, are you assuming that freelancers on Upwork are trying to stay on Upwork their whole life?
On Upwork, maybe no. If we talk about freelancer.com or TopTal is already different. So, yeah. Huh?
Do you have data on it?
A little bit.
Okay.
And again, I mean, I cannot say exactly because each country is different, each demographic, each target age. Designers might be different from developers and architects. But the question is, will people work more remotely in the future? We think so.
I'm looking at like SIA data only because really like only 30% of freelancers maintain full time. But most actually work as a freelancer, and then if they start working with like Google, Microsoft, you name it, then there's actually the way the laws are written is they have to convert to full time. So under this system, what was going to crap out of me is a lot of developers work for 2 years at Microsoft, go full time, jump back into freelance, get another full-time thing, and so I'm struggling to understand as a freelancer like why I'm doing something that is going to steal the life of cash.
I just want to add to that, which is when you were talking just before, you're saying it needs to be as intuitive as the existing platform. But I'd argue that if it's as intuitive, then I have no incentive to jump onto your platform, right? So you actually need to give me some added value to go through the trouble of learning your platform, unless you're trying to really copy Upwork, and then you're just fighting for a piece of the market and nothing else. And you'll never be able to completely convert everyone over.
I see the point. I think the added value, and this is the point that you were making, is actually communicating and conveying a message. So instead of adding more complexity, it's actually being able to convey a message so that people say, wow, it doesn't make too much difference for me to utilize Upwork or this platform, but in this platform, I get more. I pay less in terms of costs. I get more protection. Maybe I get insurance, and it's a company that doesn't want to make money out of me because I'm part of it. So I think if you want to add more complexity, you can do it in layers. So you can allow people to go deeper and deeper and deeper. Like in blockchain, is the basic thing that you can do. You download a wallet, you do a few transactions, but you can actually go much deeper than that. If you want, you can create your own tokens and so on. So I think the baseline should be super intuitive, especially for emerging countries, for people that are not as used to this type of economies yet, but then being able to go much more deeper if they want.
It's kind of awareness issues, like they think that something's wrong there. What they're doing, they start thinking that it's another layers. Like it's not all about how can we convey or how can we deliver. It's all about how can they be aware of how can they start to think about the
And even asking simple questions like this. Even asking to people simple questions like this.
maybe never ever ask themselves a good question for a few
I have a really, really like serious question on that. So I'm a freelancer, right? Offer me equity or something of that. How am I going to trust that? Like, I don't trust my clients. To be honest, unless they're a little bit that I can recognize. Really, I don't take equity. I'm a freelancer. So I just think this proposition just scares the shit out of me, but frankly, because it just seems like every other startup that's like, hey, I'll give you equity, and you're like, oh, gosh.
Well, you get cash anyway. You get cash normally. On top of it, you get shares. So it's a bonus.
The big question behind that would be who really cares about your customer in this case, not the freelancer. You'd be asking the freelancer how relevant is that part of the platform, or whereas you say probably driven by the liquidity and you want money and okay, my start, that's no. So I think you're building something, but I'm not really sure that you already segmented all the number. What define how big is Bitcoin? Just people in India and Indonesia revenue if they want to be on this network. Is that true? How big is that?
I see the point there, and consider that on my personal side, I've been mentoring startups and also in the conventional way, preparing business plans, preparing deck, talking with investors, with VCs. We currently have for our incubator about 150 VCs that are partnered with us, and I spoke with most of them, discussing what they're looking for, market data, CAGR, and all the formulas. And when we go down to the project, I was on the other side as an investor as well, asking the project, have you checked the market, have you done the demographics, and so on and so on. I think the question here is a way in between, and the answer actually is a way in between, is what we see today mixed with the future that we want to create and matching them together. So if
Andrea, don't get me wrong. The world is well distributed. The world is global. There is no borders. Cryptocurrency will happen at some point or now. They will figure out the central bank how it will be able to operate. It's not up to us. There will be politicians. There is so much money out there that cannot be just managed by a couple of guys or just paradise. It needs to be controlled, go into the public domain.
it has to go distributed.
Government will figure out how it's going to
Yeah.
work all this stuff. But again, that's the value. I mean, people are globally traveling from one place to another, to Thailand, from China, whatever. It's still working in our world. I mean, what is the need to create this?
It's to create an environment.
And already right now they are doing so it seems to work. So why do you need to change this?
Why you need to change systems like Upwork or freelancer, you mean? I think it's about ownership, because the problem is that these platforms are going to become richer and richer, and the investors behind are going to become richer and richer.
But do you think it's fair for the people that put some value of building the Dropbox or building and the platform allow people to be looking for it's not fair to get some
This is more an economic question because it's beyond the philosophical, is how much is enough. The problem is that today you have people like Jeff Bezos that have $100 billion in terms of value. Hmm? Upwork. Fiverr is, isn't it? They're getting there. Fiverr maybe. They're getting there. They're good. I mean, they're doing great. I think, for example, Patagonia, when it comes to clothing, there are companies that are not doing that great. We don't want to compete with anybody, and our goal is not to.
People care much about that thing. How much Jeff Bezos keeps getting richer? How much he keeps using his product every day?
Well,
we can find alternatives. There are alternatives to Amazon.
Are there?
Yeah, there are. There's tons of companies that ship products. You got tons of companies that do things. You want that comfort. You want that added value.
That's the thing.
So unless you can provide me that added value,
Exactly.
I'm going to be really blunt here. That's what I ship. I don't need someone's company. I'm not getting an added value for the product.
I totally understand. I mean,
so that's the only reason I'm going to buy something, right? So unless you can provide that to me, I couldn't care less if I'm owning it or not.
and I don't think actually should be the same. I think you can go beyond that. You can create even more value because when you redistribute wealth, you have more resources to do things. So I think you can go much beyond. Not just creating a copy-paste service, actually creating a level up. Just because I'm not interested in exploiting people by empowering. So yeah, quite a bit of questions and answers point, which are always, these are super important for us because all these questions we need to keep asking to ourselves. And this is what any company should do. Facebook should run this type of workshops with people asking, hey, how do you want the social network to be? Should we stop selling your data? Or should we keep going, for example? So anyway, I agree, the majority of the people will not have interest in all the value, the philosophy, and everything behind yet. At some point, the demand on the market will change, and we can be there for them. And on the other side, we can create alternatives. Today, I don't have many alternatives to Netflix, for example. There are alternatives, but they are all the similar type of companies. Either it's Apple, either it's Disney or Hulu. Facebook, some alternatives, but they have the same metrics. I don't know a single large company that distributes its shares to the users and employees. Employees, yes, with stock options.
It's about that creation of that network value, but people need to come together and accept $1 per dollar. You understand the dollar, right? So you just go, you have a credit card, it's $1. You withdraw, it's $1. You create that system that kind of distributed, amazing network, secure. Yeah, we can imagine this. But as long as the foundations are not laid down, it's hard to envision.
Yeah, but the best way to do it is starting somewhere. You start to get people on board. We have launched the beta, and we had quite a few feedbacks, so we learned from that. I mean, the best way to do something is doing it. And we are going to make tons of fails, but it's like when you see a movie, 95% of the efforts, you don't see them. The movie is the result, is that 5% of the things that they got right. The 95 is all the mistakes and trash behind. Same, we are going to make mistakes, but isn't it the best way to start and try?
What about, how we play I'm not super we do exactly the same. How you come up?
Yeah, how do you handle it? Well, first of all, if if they were doing it legally and properly, I would be super happy. I would be a supporter. Again, I'm not doing this for money. If I wanted to make money, I would be in finance. I would say that.
What would you call legitimately property?
You're
What would you call property? Like, what would
yeah, in that sense, I would say, and it's something is that even if Mark Zuckerberg wanted to give all its shares to the users, he can't. Legally, he can't. So the problem is that any company like Facebook or all the large companies that we know today, they cannot go into the distributed model because they will be sued by the investors even before they think about it. They can't, even if they want to.
We are talking about money. These guys are super rich. Like even go. When did they do it? Why those big people have a lot of money? They don't. They know because they are techie, Bill Gates, Oracle. They know about the distribution power. Now, he knows that about Bitcoin all over the place. You cannot turn off Bitcoin right now. It's a living entity there that you can use for exchanging money. So ask yourself, why those big guys are not weird? Let's be the small guys that try to revolutionize everything. It's a amazing deal. I'm not sure whether we are in
Your point, like, to the freelancers' office.
I
That's
think
where I just don't.
that's, to be honest with you, the answer is I don't think so, but it's an added value in the sense if for them it doesn't make much difference between Upwork and this platform. So you get the same amount of clients, maybe you get even better clients, then the shares part, it might be an added value. But you're creating that alternative. Today I don't have any alternative. If I want to work remotely, it's purely transactional. I'm not building assets in the long term. And I'm not even covered by insurances or all other things that you can add.
I think when you say assets, this is referring to assets in your company.
But in the company.
Sure. As a freelancer, I'm definitely getting assets. I have a portfolio, I have a project, I have a portfolio. You hire me, you do great work, you're giving me a review. That's gold.
Yes, but you don't get not assets like assets that you can exchange the market for something else. Like
This is
track record.
This is the value prop that you're giving me value. It's tangible, it's payment. There's so many points of value that Upwork and LinkedIn. You're saying Upwork right now. Why don't you say LinkedIn? Like, I think the typical advantage is like 70% of investors using online jobs. And it's a pretty large number, right? So there's a lot of assets I'm getting that are not
So you'll be planning to list the company so that the shareholders can what they exhibit.
Yeah. Assets in terms of track record, or another asset that you can say LinkedIn, the biggest asset that they have is the community number. They have 400 million people in there. That's something big that people can leverage on. But in terms
me personally, like in terms of an asset, like how
as a freelancer, what is the asset that you get today if you work, if you find a job on LinkedIn, aside the track record?
tons, because like you're doing portfolios with design.
Yeah, track record, yes.
Yeah. What's in terms of network, in terms of the subsequent job opportunities, in terms of my identity, to be honest, with a lot of the meetings like a lot of person's identity is in the work they do. So I'm just trying to understand what is more. What's in your company, sharing company, or cryptocurrency in your company, and all the other value, all the other intangible benefits that the currency has.
But I don't think it should be one or the other. It's an added value on top. So the goal is to create an environment that is as good or even better than LinkedIn or Upwork. So they can create a better, very nice track record, portfolio, reviews. There is everything already that we're testing. On top of it, you get shares. There's another question behind that. What do you mean for social credit?
Like in China, it's been like the social credit system. So it's where everybody based on like ratings.
Is tricky. I was reading an article the other day about Amazon and how much, and even in China, Alibaba, they called Leaf. They have a credit system for people to take short-term loans, suppliers that needs loans to get other things and there is it. And is already changing their life. If you have a shop on Amazon and you have built it in 2 years, and for some mistake, Amazon banning all your assets, track record, everything will be crashed. And legally, they can do it at any point in time without even justify it to you. It's tricky. It's tricky because you are really in a situation where companies, the influence that they have on your daily life is even bigger than governments in some cases.
The China case is totally
This
transparent system that was like they look at different things, right? Like you Taobao, you Tmall, and all the WeChat interactions. They come up with a number. They even now they track it the street.
Yeah.
They crossing the wrong way is -5.
Yeah.
They come up with it.
And
So if we imagine that society, well, we don't own our data. Basically, we don't own our data. Institutions, government will decide what they will do.
But I think that's more the problem. And to answer the question is, the tool itself is a tool. The question is who is benefiting from it, and what is the purpose. In that case, the purpose is control, and is benefiting a party. So a group of people that has its own interests and wants to protect its interests. That social rating system is not really meant for the large community, because it's measuring things like how many comments you do pro or against the party, which is not really necessarily the best for the community. So it disincentivize.
Yeah, but if you let's say we have AI, everybody has this access to some form of validation of trust between rate.
That's a very good question. The system, we really have thought about this also for our projects. We have created a system of validators and oversight. So we are building it in a way that within the number of 7 people, you can have already a supplier, a client, a verifier. Yes.
This is some kind of mix, a centralized way, right?
No, the validators will be, as soon as the network starts to scale, professionals can be validator, and the validation task will be randomly assigned. So you might receive a notification and say, do you want to validate this transaction? If you validate it, it's like 5 credits. It's similar to mining in that sense when it comes to blockchain. You're paying the gas for validating the keys and encryption.
Yeah, sorry, I hope you, but could you give your contact details next time I will
Should I? Do you have Telegram?
Well, I just
It's actually pretty good.
There's a group, okay.
Yeah, there is a group, but there is also.
You have, yes.
If I can put it there. Well, if you had at FVTURA, on Telegram, that's me. It's a pink picture.
Do you have community?
Also, there is also my account.
Channel there.
Yes, that's me. And I feel think I've never tried, but there's also a feature which is contacts find people nearby, like LinkedIn. Yeah.
Why people use that? Just a quick. Yeah, why do you use? I mean, you have WhatsApp, you have WeChat, you have Viber.
Well, for us, a lot of features are when it comes to files and media. You can transfer files up to 1 giga per single file without compression, while WhatsApp it shrinks everything. If you want to send a video, the other side will receive a compressed version of the video. That's what.
You have the limitation.
No, chat is good as well. The other thing is is a cloud-based, so you can use it on top of a laptop and you still have the same files and same data, while WhatsApp is on your device. So if you log in on another device, you don't have anything of the files.
I think you can do now. Let's have a think of WeChat.
Backup.
WhatsApp, web WhatsApp.
Yeah, but even in web WhatsApp, you don't have all the files because that's not stored.
Not all of them.
Yeah. Because the selling point of WhatsApp is the end-to-end encryption. So they want everything to be encrypted on your device.
So you think the key feature or key value of Telegram is for freelancer people that want to send large files? Apart from that,
Then-
WhatsApp is you can do voice, you can do messaging, you can do video.
Yeah, same on Telegram. The difference is you don't need the people's number. You just need the username. You don't need to show your own number, so you can hide it. You just need the username, so less spam. And people
Is it good or is it bad?
spam.
No, I mean to hide it, you find don't give your phone number, don't give your email address.
Again, a
You
tool.
find value in that.
For me, not necessarily. The value that I find is that since I've been traveling a bit, every time you change number with WhatsApp, you mess up. When it happens, and if by chance you lose your old number, it's gone. It happened to me.
Happens because they believe we are a citizen of one country,
Yeah.
we live in a global society.
Yeah.
which shouldn't happen.
And for example, in Singapore, if you use a Singtel, I think after 3 months that you don't top it up, the SIM card is gone, and another person is going to get that number after a few months. So your WhatsApp is going to be linked to someone else. On Telegram, you don't have that. So, thanks. Sorry for digressing a bit. The Mentimeter, does it? Or is already? Okay. So yeah, this could be about the ownership of the platform, what we were saying, where this is cash at the beginning, and slowly, maybe in 7 years, you can have a fair amount of value. But all of this is long term. So the key question is, will people understand or appreciate the long term value? That's something that we have to find out. And the idea is to create a social economic movement, so not just a platform, creating something that can empower people in the long term, shifting from the way things are done today, which is going to be extremely challenging, definitely. Another part that I don't think we gave enough importance is the education side and the role that it can play. So creating a place where people can learn, and Fiverr has started doing that. So they are already doing courses on Fiverr. But still you don't have somehow an creator that tells you if you do this course you can find this amount of jobs. It's more your own risk. You take a course and you don't know if you're going to get job after. So we would like to match that gap. What we should guarantee at least is that there are places open. Let's say we talk with Microsoft, and Microsoft says we predict that we're going to need 1,000 developers in the next 2 years in Bangladesh. Then we should be able to say there are 2,000 positions that are filling up, and show how much they're filling up. What you can guarantee is that there is that opportunity. Now, if they're going to get it at some point, is up to them. We cannot really control that, but we can go as close as possible. Job. What we can do anyway is that since we're going to have an ecosystem of companies, we're going to have a lot of gigs and tasks that people need. So we can create quite a bit of demand, and that's the key. If you have a large demand, then there is more for suppliers. And well, since we were talking about the client side, the question is also, will people benefit from a circular economy? So will there be the interest of being both suppliers and client? Because in this platform, every time you earn something, you can use it to pay for something else. And this doesn't have transaction costs. So if you get 100, you can spend other things. So that could be another point of value for people. Creating an environment where you can get more things done and there is more shares of skills, and, resources and liquidity. But again, all of this is to be tested. And it needs a large critical mass. Some of the features. And this in theory is the last slide. So if you are interested to try it out, go for it. It's in beta, so you can find it out. And our goal is going to be to match you with the right things. So if you're looking for suppliers, we'll do our best to find the right suppliers. If you're looking for clients, we will do our best. And it's our main interest to make this platform work. So. And you can be both, so you can switch from one type of profile to the other and retain the same credits. Oof, guys. I was taking a breath. I got roasted for like an hour. Good. My pleasure. No, I think people needs to have ears more than mouth. So it's all about getting feedback, learning, and saying how can we improve. Everything you said is something that is in the back of our minds as well when we do things. Say, would people accept it? Would people like it? Are we going into the right direction, or are we wasting years of our life into something that is broken from the beginning? So yeah, it's fantastic to hear feedbacks, especially the negative ones, so we can learn.
Just data.
Yeah.
What does success look like?
What is
What does success look like?
success?
I know it's a very direct question, but like, do you want 100 million users, or do you want, say, influencers in 5 years? Do you want 100 million spend? What is the tangible output?
Well, the platform is called Next Billion Jobs. So in theory, the goal is the next billion drops.
I love it.
We're planning to reach that in 10 years, being able to create 1 billion opportunities in 10 years, which it depends on the amount of users. Then, me personally, I'm aligned with the goal of FVTURA, which is, on the personal side, creating and supporting 4 clusters to improve society, which is education, economies, decision making, and innovation. If we can change these 4 pillars in society, we can change the world for good. Even if we change just one of these properly, is a big impact. And personally, I know that I might not be able to change the world, but I might be able to empower the people that will change the world in the future, either with tools, with mistakes, or knowledge. Even the failures that we might do in a few months might be a stepping stone for people to take it from there. I think blockchain and crypto is a similar thing. Many things have failed, but those that failed have been a use case for people to say, okay, we shouldn't do the same mistake twice, or 3 times, or 5 times. So, guys, thanks for being today. I hope that this has been a useful time. Thanks for giving us time and feedbacks. And if you want to be part, if you want to join, if you have suggestions or partnership, anything, we are here for the long term. So anything. Thanks, guys. Let me close here.